As I just give you a very brief introduction, Dr. Sandra Hardy, Psych D MFC, who is coming to us today from Long Beach, California, licensed clinical psychologist and marriage and family therapist, specializing in individual, couples, and family therapy. She also, along with that, does life and transitional coaching for personal growth and abundant living. She has, along with all of her experience, she has started a Center for Best Living, which you can easily go to the website and check that stuff out. And you can see all of her credentials and all of the academics from there. From here on out, I'm done talking, and I'm going to pass this back over to Dr. Hardy. And I'm just asking you to unmute at this point in time. And again, if there are any questions or concerns, just please put them in the chat. I can try to take care of it. And Dr. Hardy, it's over to you.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. I mean, the wonder of internet is that I'm here in sunny Southern California, and I'm not sure where you all are, but I'm assuming mostly on the East Coast. Again, we keep seeing the wonders of God, you know? So let's just start off. I'm going to say give a little kind of an intro or some information about where I'm coming from. And then we want most of this time to be about conversation. So I was told this is about our having a conversation and the beauty and the wonder of women coming together and talking about what our concerns are, what we want for ourselves, and how do we better take care of ourselves, and how we utilize the information and experience of each and every one of us, because we're all valuable, okay? So I'm just gonna start off with the title, and I'm assuming you all saw it, and so it attracted you or got your attention. Is Emotional Well-Being for Black Christian Professional Women. That's so it's where we're identifying that we can be emotional, that we want to be well, that we are Black, that we are Christian, that we are or have been professional women, and that again, that we are women, okay? I'm just gonna kind of read something, and then this just helps me to kind of get us going, and then we have the information. As I thought about the conversation all week, the theme resonated with me over and over again. And this is coupled with awareness that in order to do real self-care, you have to know who you are, who you're caring for, and what's needed. Because depending on who you are will determine what self-care you need. It varies depending on what's going on. As a clinical psychologist, when people come to me, some of the first things I want to know are, who is this person? What's their presenting problem? How do they see themselves? What do they need? And how can I help? You are, we are, or you are, how you see yourself. It's like we're all, in many ways, we're alike. And we're like in so many ways, it's just amazing sometimes. But at the same time, you're unique, and we all come with our own worldview, our challenges, our resources, and our strengths. How you describe your unique self becomes a fundamental and foundational question as it relates to your self-care, your emotional, physical, and spiritual well-being. Being Black, being Christian, being a professional, being a woman, there's a lot of being. Would you agree? There's a lot of stuff. And no wonder sometimes we feel a little overwhelmed or overwrought. And then I just added a few minutes ago, and sometimes we feel in awe of who we are, of all of who we are. It's like we do all of this. And if truth be told, this isn't even half of the list, okay? There are so many facets. There's just so many other things we are, apart from being God's best creation, but I won't get into that today. In my assessment, I am also looking to see what are the strengths, what's the historical baggage, and what's the hope for your future. The answers then shape our time together and the work we endeavor to complete. Again, this is largely dependent upon how you describe your situation and who you say you are. Now, one of the things I would say is that recently, when I'm working with people, I always add, I'm challenged to add the caveat, and this is somehow how the disclaimer goes. In case you've forgotten, I have to offer you a reminder. 2020 happened. It was real. And it was traumatic and life-changing. Some of us were forced to stop, and some of us were forced to keep going in 2020. 2020 grabbed us from the inside, from the outside, with a worldwide pandemic, bringing life as we had come to know it to a halt. And then it grabbed us from the inside, forcing us to once again confront the collective trauma of being Black in America. The shadows of death surrounded us in all sorts of ways. Even as the time we saw, many of us saw it as a time for change, it gave us opportunity to stop, it gave us time to readjust, to struggle, to create, to even breathe, you know? And albeit we had to breathe, hopefully with a mask. Life as we knew it stopped. We could not even go to church on Sunday. And I ask you, can you imagine that? Even having gone through it, it's hard to imagine that we in America would find ourselves in a place where we couldn't go to church. And that was, or at least church in the way we do it. We've been creative and we found ways to work with and through it, but it's hard for me even now to say that, or to reconcile that I couldn't even go to church. And yet, even though, and despite it all, Pastor brings us together today to take a look and to conversate about emotional well-being for Black Christian professional women. So let's take a breath and dive in. So I want you to literally take a breath. And looks like most of you are in your home, so you can even take a breath without a mask. I don't know about you all on the East Coast, but it's a big thing here in Southern California, wearing our mask and still trying to protect ourselves, for those of us who are vaccinated and those who are not, just the whole idea of trying to protect ourselves. But again, take a breath, just take a deep one. It's free, you know? So it's ours. And based on kind of a, you know, what I've just said up to here, here's the simplest advice that I can give. Of all the things that we are, I'm going to endeavor for today, or for our talk, to talk about, let's put Christian first. So we're a number of things, we do a lot of things, but I'm going to challenge us to put Christian first. And I'm saying that if you take everything you are dealing with and put Christian first, I believe the dynamic, the problems, and the solutions start to change. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about church or business as usual, but rather are embracing the power of the living Jesus, that the power of the God of the universe, the power that brought us through 2020, the power that has sustained us throughout history, the power of love and a sound mind, and The power that says always, for such a time as this, never out of touch. The power that says, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. The power that says, I will keep her in perfect peace. She who keeps her mind stayed on me. The power that says, I am the light of the world. I can go on, and in my effort to not turn this into a sermon and keep it conversation, I'm going to stop there. But our faith really does go on and on, giving us wisdom and counsel for every situation you and I encounter. All of the psychology, theories, skills, and practices that are part of who I am, I have 30 plus years of practicing. None of the, let's say, theories, psychology, skills, practices, none of them promise to keep you or keep us in perfect peace. None promise to give you peace that surpasses understanding and that will guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. None promises that the God of peace will be with you, and none promises that goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life, and that you will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And none promise that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So let's look at the challenges of real life, and let's talk about whether changing the order that we see ourselves or how we define ourselves, if by shifting the order, it makes a tremendous difference. Because that's what Jesus promises. I mean, and we're going to call him on it, call him on it. I believe he can stand on it. And who do you say you are? But you may say, all that's good and nice, Dr. Hardy, but how do I deal with this? It's not easy. The reply that I come back with, or that I'm venturing to help us or for all of us to conversate about today, is whoever said it was going to be easy. And are you looking for easy, or are we looking for strategies that are designed and will help us deal with difficult situations? The answer can be simple, but the problem and the process is not easy. So here's a simple answer to real problems, and they're not going to be easy. We are often dealing with situations that stand the test of time, things that have been there forever. How do we change this? How do we change that? How do we do this? Yes, and if we're going to change them, we have to be able to start somewhere. Your perspective matters. And what are you trying to teach me? See, so how we look at the problem, how we define ourselves, or how we approach the situation has everything to do with how we work through it. So one of the questions I've been asking people lately is, when we encounter a problem, are we looking for ways to change ourselves and to grow? Or are we looking for ways to justify what we've always done and to prove ourselves right? They're not the same. Continued growth and development requires the ability and a willingness to change. But often we get stuck in this kind of space where we find ourselves looking more for a reason or justification to stay the same. Now, we want the situation to change, But oftentimes we don't necessarily want ourselves to change. And again, those are not the same thing. Another perspective I've been challenging both myself and other people with is to look at when you're trying to make a decision, there are, let's say, at least three components that you want to look at. Am I afraid? Do I have the courage to do what I need to do? And is wisdom telling me to move forward or to move back? What is wisdom saying? So I'm proposing that we look at all three of those components in any situation or wherever we are, that we're looking at, is this something that I'm afraid of? Or what should I be afraid, or should I be afraid? If I am, do I have the courage or the experience to confront it? And then thirdly, what is wisdom saying? Because we want wisdom. Wisdom is our friend, okay? So remember that, write it down. Wisdom is our friend. We want wisdom. I'll give you an example. I was recently trying to make a decision about whether or not I was going to the US Open, okay? Nothing my life changing or whatnot, but was I gonna go? The US Tennis Open, I don't know how many of you know, but Tennis Open, it was in New York just this past week, a week ago. I wasn't afraid to do it because I've done it before. So I wasn't afraid to do it. Do I have the courage to do it again? Well, it's COVID, maybe yes, no, but okay, I know what I need to do. I can put on a mask, I'll be careful. The one thing though that I couldn't get peace about, wisdom did not say go. So I wasn't afraid, I had the courage, I'd done it before, but I couldn't get a yes or a yay from wisdom. And so I subsequently decided not to go. And then I'm glad I didn't, because for me, seeking wisdom is my guide. So without it, I chose not to go. One other thing that I'd just like to put out for us, in order to get change, you've got to change. And when we think about change, we want to think about, do we want to change? Do we need to change ourselves? How we see the issue or the concern? Do we need to get somebody else to change? Are we trying to spend our energy trying to get them to change? Or might we need to change the circumstances? Is it time to leave? Is it time to retire? Is it time to do something different? So we've got at least those three things, and we don't want to get stuck feeling like we're stuck. Like we often I'll hear people say, well, I feel like I don't have a choice. Another thing is you want to always have a choice, okay? Okay, I think I'm going to stop there for now and just get a check in terms of what you all are thinking and how do we move more towards this whole idea of self-care, that caring for yourself, knowing who you are first and foremost, if you profess to have a relationship with the God of the universe. How does any and every situation shift given that you put who you are in relationship to God first? Or if it does shift, does it make a difference? Does it make it easier, harder? What happens when you shift the order? Well, one of the things that I say all the time is you got to make sure that one, we all know the illustration of when you're on an airplane that you put on your own mask first. Somehow that got twisted, I think, in our lives. And sometimes you have to step away for at least a little while so you can catch your breath and decide what it is that you need to do. What's important? What are your priorities? You cannot do it all. So it requires that you take some time and step away. And if that means disconnect for a short period of time or as much time as you need till you can get the priorities, the order that you need. So we can't afford to disconnect. That's really complete disconnection is not self-care. Okay, because we've been created to be relational. So you're not really doing a good job of caring for yourself if you don't know how to be relational, because now you're carrying all the burden of caring and not utilizing and not being a part of a community of support. You have to step away. And that can feel contradictory. A lot of times the other question is, how does taking care of me not make me not be selfish? So let's go back to put God first and see if it changes anything. Okay, one thing I'll just say, God created heaven and earth in how many days? Okay, and on the seventh day, what did he do? I mean, this is the God of the universe, and the design is complete. It's designed to rest. So if we're not resting or taking time for ourselves to reconnect or to collect ourselves or to reconnect with God to get direction and whatever, then we're out of design. Now, and again, I'm not the expert here, okay? So I'm not putting myself out as the expert. I'm just saying, well, let's take our collective wisdom and what we know about, through life and the word of God that says what? That's our guide. Okay, let's keep going. This is for us. This is our time for us to look at how do we care better and get on top of this self-care. In some ways, I think women of God should be the ones that are saying, hey, this is what it looks like. Yes. Yeah. And God offers transformation. But one of the hard challenges with transformation is that you have to let go of some old stuff that have maybe kept you for a long time. It's like saying goodbye. That's why we want wisdom to be our friend. It's like saying goodbye to, let's say, overeating. Because overeating was a good coping mechanism, It may be saying goodbye to giving people a piece of our mind. You know how we say sometimes, or speaking up or having an answer, saying something. It may mean a lot of things that we have to let go of. But the promise of God is that for anything that he takes away, he promised to provide and to replace it with something even more abundant and beyond what you could even hope or imagine. So that's why I'm open to changing. It's like, I want that beyond what I can hope or imagine. I want it. I want it. And sometimes it feels selfish, but yeah, I want it. It's selfish. And the more I have of that, the less selfish actually I am. I can give more because I have more, but my more is coming from an abundant source that will keep on giving and giving and giving and giving. That's the source that I want. See, I want to operate from that place. It means I can't do it. I reach my limit. That's not something that I'm called to do. That's not good for me. It's better if you do it for yourself. I don't have the answer to that. It means a lot of things, but you know how they say no is sometimes a very complete sentence? No is sometimes actually the right answer. You ever take a multiple or quiz where yes or no, and you want to get the answer right? The right answer is no. But sometimes then we go back and, when you take a test and they say, don't go back and second guess yourself. The right answer is no. And you could say no with a smile. Let me see you say no with a smile. No, you could say no with a smile. No, you know what? I think I'm going to pass on this opportunity. Thank you so much for thinking about me. But no, thank you. I'm going to pass on this one. But no is sometimes the right answer. And it's a real critical part, even within the Christian community where we're to give and give and give. You can't be giving over here because you like it over here or you want this person to like you. And God called you to be over there. But he's clearly calling you to be over there. You wasting time. And the other one, that the God that we serve, I'm going to say something else. And do you really want to serve a God that doesn't know how to deal with the real world? Why are we bothering with a God that don't deal with the real world? Don't you want a God that deals with the real world? Mm-hmm. That all things work together for the good? Yeah. And because we've been, yeah. Another question that I often ask people is, who have you given your power to? Who's controlling your life? Who's controlling the strings about what you or I do? Who have we given our power to? And whoever you gave it to, go back and get it back. Because you cannot afford to be dealing in this world with your power over here and you're over here. So if it's children, if it's, spouses, if it's whatever, I don't know, but take your power back. I think some of the things that I heard you say is if there were no phone calls or no people calling you, turn the phone off. I've gotten in a habit now where not the habit, but I'm not a big phone person anyway, but I turn it off. No notifications in the morning. I was just reading something recently and it's talking about micro steps that we take towards taking better care of ourselves. It may mean putting on do not disturb. So I don't hear that notification in my ear when I'm trying to have my quiet time. So depending on what your circumstances are, if you got a dependent child, you're taking care of somebody, all those things have to be taken into consideration. But again, put God first, and he promises to order your steps. But you have to change, and we have to change, and we have to be willing to disappoint some people. We have to be willing to do things differently than we've ever done them. We have to be willing that sometimes you're going to have to stand by yourself. It does require change. There's a difference when we let God be in our life versus structuring our life or not, allowing God to structure our life. Does that make sense? Difference from structuring our life and giving God a place in our structure versus letting God show us how to structure our life. God is showing you. He's leading you. He's the good shepherd. It's like when I think of the 23rd Psalms, I think of the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Everything I want, everything I need, he's providing. He's providing me rest, restoration, reassurance. What if we do that? Take it back. Yeah. So it requires change. And it's not always easy to change, especially if we've been doing it a certain way for a long time. So there's no, I will say there's no easy answer. Change is hard. But again, the reward that he promises is abundant. Okay, a couple really important things you said. One, it's 24 hours in a day as we know it. I mean, as best we understand it. But based on what we understand, God deemed 24 as enough. If we needed 26, if we needed 30, he would have given us 30. So 24 is enough. That's all we got. He didn't give us more. So it helps me to remember that he's the God of the universe. And even though some days it feels like I could use 35, he said 24 is enough. So given that, what I don't get done in the 24, either it wasn't supposed to be done, or it was too much in the first place, or I got it out of, or I'm trying to do too much or something, but he said 24 is enough. And so if I'm not getting it done in 24, then perhaps I'm trying to do too much. That may not be too much for my family. It may not be too much for my company. It may not be too much for my business, because these are things that still need to be done. But according to the God of the universe, who matters most to me anyway, and who said, seek me first and all these other things will be added unto you, I want to get my priorities back in order so that 24 is enough. And within that 24, he even said, I'm supposed to rest. I was like, what am I doing wrong? Because I'm not getting to rest in the 24. So we need to go back to the table and ask him, how could we do this different? Order my steps. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. Somebody's going to probably be let down. Somebody might get their feelings hurt. Somebody might not like it. But somebody might also respect you. Now, I don't know enough of the specifics to say how you can alter it. But one of the things I've come to understand is with two things. With COVID, didn't we see things that we never, ever thought would ever happen? The world shut down. I don't know about you guys on the East Coast, but our busiest freeway here in LA County is a 405 freeway. There were some days when there were literally maybe one or two cars on the whole 405 freeway. That don't seem possible, but it was. And it did, and we survived. So it's given us an opportunity to reevaluate and restructure if we're willing to do it. Now, if we try to do the old way in a new era, it's not going to work very well. It's like putting new wine into old wineskin. It breaks. And then the other one that helps me sometimes is, when President Obama was the president of the United States, how many hours did he get a day? He got 24, just like the rest of us, right? He ran the whole United States, or whoever's president or whatever, they run the whole world. They only get 24 hours. I come to understand that, okay, if they can run, maybe I would do it different or whatever, the whole country in 24 hours, I'm going to find a way to make the 24 work for me. If that means, I don't know, how radical you want to be, go to work part-time because you taking care of your dad or whatever, or FMLA, you know, whatever. I don't know how would you, but you know what I mean? To have the, do we have fear, courage, or wisdom? So you want to put those three in, like, what do I need to do? Where are the areas that I might be a little afraid? Where do I need courage? Where do I need the courage to stay or to keep doing or to stop doing? But that's what you, yeah. Maybe, you know, are you familiar with the serenity prayer? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change. There are things that we cannot change that ain't our business, really. There are things that we need more courage to change it, because it's like, oh my God, if I change that, this is going to happen. This might happen. What am I going to do? And then the wisdom to know the difference. And they may come across as kind of strong. So tell me if we need, how your reaction to it. Guilt is a wasted emotion. It doesn't fix, it doesn't do anything. What does guilt do? What does it solve? I feel guilty. Okay. What does it change? It's kind of like it's masquerading as something powerful that if I feel guilty about it, then that makes it okay or something, or I've solved something because now I feel better because I feel guilty. It's a wasted emotion. If there's something you need to do, then let's get about doing it. But feeling guilty about taking care of yourself when yourself is your primary responsibility, and your self-care is also modeling for other people how to take care of themselves, and that it can be done. Because if nobody models it, how do we know it can be done? It doesn't have any power to change anything. I prefer to be motivated by love and by action than to be motivated by guilt and feelings that do nothing for anybody. I mean, so there's emotional tiredness, there's physical tiredness, you know, there's other ways to being tired, but it may mean it means rest, that there's no, the physical body does not really, doesn't really care that you have 10 children. Okay, let's say, for example, the physical body is a physical body. It needs rest, water, restoration, shelter, nourishment. And those are the things that the physical body, scientifically or whatever, that we need. So the alternative to being tired is to rest. Now, to say that you're supposed to magically, your 5 dependent children are supposed to magically now, go get all their needs and their food, do all the things that we need to do. But rest. So it may mean you and some of your friends come together and do some community support of each other. I don't know, and I don't want to throw out, some people throw out, do this, do that. I think our lives are just too important and too complex to oversimplify it. But I do know for sure that the antidote to tired is rest. So how does the community now help you? And that's where, how do we support each other in ways that you can get some rest and don't feel like you're carrying it all by yourself. Let me throw this out there, see what you all think about it. Think about where did this notion that Black women are supposed to carry the whole, that we're these strong. I just think about Sojourner Truth and one of her famous speeches where she says, "Ain't I a woman too?" Think about where did this notion come from that we are supposed to carry it all or do it all? And again, let's put it in the context. Now, we could probably talk about where it came from or whatever. I mean, for one, I know for sure it has something to do with slavery. Now, I just not even, it's a carryover on some level. But again, God says, what? Put him first and see what he says. But when we begin to tap into, again, see, there's a structure that we have that we live with. And then there's it, and I don't mean to sound like I'm in some fairy tale land, but there's a structure that God commands us, that he says he came that you could live more abundantly and to get you free. If we think of Harriet relied on what? She had this mystical, indelible relationship with the God of the universe. He guided her across water, but she didn't do that by herself. She didn't think of that in her own mind or in her own head. She was led and guided to do that. And in doing so, she did it well. Sometimes we're caught with or tasked with doing 50, what did you say what pastor says? 11 jobs. And that ain't even what we called to do. I think we have to allow this miraculous God of the universe to take control of our lives and to allow him to continue to direct us in new pathways. We know if we follow the pathways of this culture, it has not historically, and as we learned again in 2020, it is not designed with you in mind. It's just not. There's a lot of work to do. Dr. King talked about the moral bend of the universe. It's long. Some jobs will get done today in your lifetime, and you are supposed to do it. But some jobs may not get done or find its completion for another 100 years. And we don't want to be carrying the weight of something that's designed to last, that God in his design and in his infinite wisdom say this is going to take this much time, but God's trying to do it today. So again, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that I know what's best for you, but I do know in my 60 plus years of life what it's come to show me that it really does work. It can work. And sometimes we may be tired, but if that's the work that you've been given by God, then he's going to supply you with everything you need to do it. Some of us, I think we're working so hard, and God got to keep us here longer because we ain't got to another thing, after 2020, I have to tell you, I've resorted back to my native tongue. So if I say ain't and can't, it's because that's part of I'm okay with that. My ebonics and I've just come to understand, to embrace fully all of who I am. My wrap up would be, I hope I stimulated or reinvigorated or challenged all of us to really embrace our identity first of who we are and to grasp the magnitude of being a daughter of the God of the universe. I mean, to let that sink in. We all have our biological parents, where we came from and who we are and what we've come to know ourselves to be. Yet we are first and foremost these days, once we step into this, we are now daughters of the God of the universe. And he says to each of us, I have a plan and a purpose for your life. Plans to give you a hope and a future, not to harm you, but to give you a hope and a future. Follow me. Now, there are going to be lots of plans that are out there, and there are going to be lots of things that we all want to do. I am a person of ideas. I can wake up every morning and have a new project that I could do. But I endeavor, and I challenge us to endeavor to wake up every morning and ask one question: God, what would you have me to do today? Order my steps. I turn my life over to you. I have a meeting at 2. I got this work I need to do. I got this proposal I need to get out. I got this person I need to go visit. I got this, I need to clean up my house. My kids need this. School is calling. I need to be on the school board. I need to be at church. I need to order my steps and help me to prioritize my day. That would be the challenge for each of us. And to see where and if we're led to go in different directions. And if so, do we have the courage and the confidence or the assurance to go in that direction? And then the other thing I would say is have a good support network, friends, pastor, somebody or something that you can also kind of bounce some of your thoughts off with, because we're not islands, and we're subject to, everything everybody else is subject to. So a good support network where you can go and ask, does this make sense? Or what do you think about this? Or the quiet time to really sit with God and to hear wisdom. I think that would be the other thing. The two companions that I am most seeking these days are love and wisdom.
Dr. Hardy, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for the time. Although I am not the target demographic for this conversation, I'm just grateful that you were able to participate to offer this dialogue for those who attended. The people in this group are not necessarily my members or anything of that nature. Some may be, some may not, but I just wanted to make sure that we had at least some platform and acknowledgement that it was a necessary or much needed conversation. So thank you. Really do appreciate it. Dr. Hardy, you already gave your final words, but any other final words?
We are fearfully and wonderfully made. When you think of, have you ever made something that you really, really care about, or somebody gave you something that you really, really care about? I can think of things, but that's who you are, okay? That God uniquely designed you with you in mind, and no matter what someone has told you, whether they told you all your life or your childhood or whatever, that you're this or you can't do that or you're whatever, that the God of the universe took time to craft you into this marvelous creation that you are. And nobody and no one can take that away from you unless you give them permission to have it. Okay. So hold on to it, fight fiercely to hold on to it and to allow it to continue to grow with his nourishment, because the world does need us. They need us. We're a vital part of this, but we're not to do it on our own or by ourselves or out of our own strength, but we can draw on the strength of the God of the universe to continue to prepare us, direct us, and guide us. And for when I say the God of the universe, I'm speaking universally. Yet the path that we've chosen for ourselves is to follow Jesus Christ and the model that he gave us to lead us to, the full understanding of who God is. And so we embrace that. It's exciting. And I tell everybody, we got through 2020. Hey, we can do, there's not much that can take us out, right? We are powerful. We are beyond. And here's another, our playing small though, okay? Or letting other people tell us who we are is not the way we want to go. We want to take all of our direction from the bigness and the glory, and then the smallness sometimes. Sometimes the little thing we take for granted, that somebody's call may be just to take lunch to a neighbor. That may be the call. It may not be anything magnificent or world changing, but we never know. So we take the small and we take the grand, and we, I guess, put it in Jesus' hand and see where it takes us. So that would be what I share with you today.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, Dr. Hardy. To those of you who were on, thank you again as well.
Yes,
for those of you who are my members, I expect to get more no's from you when I ask you things. You can do it with a smile, but I do expect to get some more no's from you. But thank you so much again. And for those of you, thank you for attending. If you would like to contact Dr. Hardy again, that's in the chat. If you don't have the chat, then it's centerforbestliving.com. And with that, I'm going to say good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Hardy, take care.
All right.
God bless.